not today, but in a couple days.
Yeah. So I've always heard that sometimes we are favored in this life not because of the prayers, our own prayer requests to God and our higher powers, but like because of the prayers that were brought on us by our ancestors and how we were brought into this life. And always thought of that as kind of like my first baptism. Like I was like, maybe I was able to make it out of this place. Maybe I'm still able to go on and there's still that love there because I was saved by like the blessings of my parents and that experience and in the set of kind of like that being a foundation and bottom line for me. But as I continue to grow in my consciousness and continue to grow in like knowing my right and wrong, I thought about the experience of being baptized again as an adult, and in my own conscious mind. But I didn't know what that meant in terms of like religious or like, am I double dipping or like, does that make sense? And I didn't want to feel like I was making it like disrespecting the ritual in the sense or trying to go back for more when it's like everybody gets one, But I spoke with pastors and I spoke with people who had kind of had this new renewal of spirit through baptism, and they're like, it's definitely a thing. And I thought about all the ways where I give my time in devotion, and I give my mind through my like prayer and meditation, and I give my soul in like believing in His truth and His word. And I think that baptism will allow me to give my body, and I think that like when I sing, it's like praise for Him, and when I pray, it's a devotion and a practice for Him. And then I feel like in like being baptized, it's like my walk with Him. And I think that baptism, I feel like I've gone so far astray, but yet I'm right at the pinnacle of where like who that little boy was that was baptized believed that all the blessings on him were to get to this place. And now I have to make that decision for myself if I'm going to complete the prayers of my ancestors and the mission and the purpose and promise that was given on me, and solidify that with what I know is the right next thing to do, which I believe is baptism. And the funny thing is when I was in such a loss, I was in a place where I felt like my potential and my promise were starting to dwindle, and I was like feeling like that, losing that form. And if anybody who's ever run a long race, at the end I'm losing my form, I'm losing my breath, like the pressure, and I think the impact that I placed on just me crossing that line was being shown that like I can't do it by myself, and it's actually not about me, it's about the glory of my God. And so I wasn't thinking, I was like, how do I then like pivot this while I'm in this conscious mind to be stronger in my walk with Jesus Christ, because I need Him now more than ever. And that's not a fault of mine, but it's like a confession, and it's like a commitment to the devotion and the relationship I want. And literally right outside my building is Cultivate New York City. And I remember I was coming from one of my worst days, like the tuition is due, the grades are due, the assignments are due, and I just felt like maybe it's just not for me. Like I was supposed to be a triumph story and a tragedy at the same time. And they were just talking and handing out flyers and just Cultivate New York City as I was cultivating my identity in this place. And I, during their summer, I think it was about late September or late August, early September, I had just missed their baptism. And I was like, oh, okay. So they, in their new church, they're baptizing and they're doing all of this work. And I decided to join. I had just missed it, but I decided to join the church because I felt like I don't know how much closer or clearer the message could be than for God to be right on my doorstep. And I got as invested in the church as I could, and in the time, and there was a sermon that Pastor Luke did talking about like one God. And he spoke about the means of like God not being this hit with this iron fist and like this punishment. And I felt like in that message, I was freed from the confusion I felt earlier about like who I am is wrong, what I'm doing is wrong, but I'm just compromising with the relationship I want for God, because in His word, it says that His love is true. And he spoke of this idea of baptism kind of being like the dying of oneself and like being reborn and being renewed in the spirit of this closeness and this walk with Jesus Christ. And I was like, that's what I want, not this sense of like to end myself, but this version of myself of this doubt and this fear and all these pressures and sins I felt I placed on myself, that feeling can be gone, and I no longer have to walk with myself, but it will be renewed in the Spirit of God and in that relationship with Jesus. And I felt just like, I felt blessed to be able to have that experience again, and for those words and message to feel so clear of what my next steps were. And I think that like in my walk with God and I've done everything I can, even the little things, to try to remember this is a ritual for my closeness with God. Like everything I do, I start with God, and I hope that he feels that or understands that energy and my effort in that. And if this is what I have to do to kind of go through this experience of like giving my last breath and being sunken and completely immersed in what is the experience of a new life, to come up and breathe in a place of community, in a place of celebration, in a place of renewal, is almost like it's like a spiritual experience, because all the things that have aligned and all the wrongs I've done have become right, because this is the best that I can do, and I feel like it's enough, and it'll be the first step I take with Jesus Christ for the rest of my life. And I don't have to feel like anything that I've done in my past will anchor me to any type of future, because I am now choosing the best like partner in my life that I could have, that's going to lead me to all the other best things that are possible. And I'm just like so grateful for the experience.